My beliefs are in God and Dolly Parton. That's it. Hello starlets, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the best version of yourself and live your dreams. So if you want to be an Everyday Starlet, be sure you hit that subscribe button. Today I have kind of a slightly different video for you. I know making vision boards is really popular right now, it's really trendy, but it kind of is a trend that goes in and out of popularity. And it was actually super trendy when I was in high school. And I actually came across a vision board that I made in high school, and I thought it would be kind of interesting to take a look at what my vision board was like when I was in high school, which was a very long time ago. We'll get into that in a minute. There's a couple different reasons for this. For one, I feel like when you've been adulting for a really long time, you know, obviously you can grow and change in some really positive ways, but I think sometimes you can also lose a little bit of who you maybe naturally were when you were younger. So there's that, but I also think too, if you're someone who is dealing with maybe, you know, a breakup or a really difficult time in your life. I know I've mentioned this in the video that I made, which I will link to this one, about getting over divorce. I think when you've been, you know, through a really bad breakup or, you know, a divorce or difficult relationship or several difficult relationships, I feel like sometimes you lose yourself and you start trying to, I don't know, figure out like who you are and rediscover yourself. And I know I'm kind of in that phase right now, not only going through my divorce, but also having gone through a career change, going from stand-up comedy to being an online influencer. And I feel like a big part of that journey, and I talk about this a lot more on Instagram if you want to follow me there. Little plug, but I talk about this a lot more about like trying to learn to truly be myself and to not fit someone else's mold of what they think I should be. And I kind of thought it would be interesting to look back on what I kind of thought my life was gonna be like when I was in high school, and it might give me some inspiration. It might make me an emotional wreck and I might just end up spending this whole video crying. Who knows? I don't know where this is gonna go. I have glanced at this, but I don't really know where I'm going with this. So yeah, just a couple little notes, because I feel like the last time I wore a robe like this, I got so many questions about this. I got this robe on Amazon. It was super affordable, and I will link it in the description box below, because when I wore, I think it was my white one in another video, everybody was like, where did you get that robe? So I have these in a bunch of different colors. They're super affordable. I've had like a purple one that I've had for years, and it has held up really well. So, and also I'm wearing red lips for this video because when I was in high school, I always desperately wanted to wear red lips because I thought that was like the ultimate in glamour, and my mother would never let me wear red lips like outside of just being at home because she thought it was just too harsh and I think too adult. And so sometimes I would actually like sneak my red lipstick and put it on while I was in school and stuff. So, and then I would forget to take it off and my mother would pick me up from school and then she'd be like, what are you doing? But that's beside the point. But now I'm an adult and I can wear red lipstick whenever I want, and sometimes I feel like it, sometimes I don't. But today I was like, I'm gonna assert my independence and I'm gonna wear my red lipstick. It says Kylie Cosmetics Boss, and it is covered with my Urban Decay Hi-Fi Shine Gloss in Bang. Cause she bangs, she bangs. That's a little Ricky Martin reference, and that song wasn't even popular yet when I was in high school. Okay, so now I've given you the reasons behind why I'm doing this. Let me give you a little frame of reference for where this vision board comes from. Okay, so I made this vision board when I was in high school. Right here. It was actually for a class in school, so some of the stuff you will probably be able to tell I tailored for the fact that I made it for a class in school. It was actually for a religion class in school, which that may surprise people, but that was just something that, you know, I went to a Catholic high school, junior, senior high school, and, you know, it wasn't a really strict, intense, you know, religious program or anything. We learned, I think in the younger grades, it was more of like the religion from a historical reference, and this is probably more than you guys care to know, but you know, I think like towards the end when we got to be like juniors or seniors, it got a little bit more into kind of like a finding yourself kind of a class and stuff. It was less solely based in just religion, so to speak. I don't remember if I made this my junior or senior year. It was one of the two. It was junior or senior year. I'm not sure which, because it was a long time ago. I graduated from high school. I feel so old even admitting this. I graduated from high school in 1997. Yes. So this vision board is over 20 years old. And you will probably realize that. And if you're younger and you're watching, there's going to be stuff on here that you're going to be like, what is that? But yeah, I will try to do some close-ups of this because I don't think that this is going to pick up all that much on the screen. So I'll try to do some close-ups for while I'm talking. I actually put this, it was just on a poster board glued together, and I found this like quite a few years ago, and I put this like in a frame here because I wanted to protect it. And so I may have to, it wasn't designed to be in a frame, so I think I'm going to take this top piece off because I can't read the top while it's on. We were told what sections we were supposed to make of this, and then we could put anything we wanted in them. That part I do remember. Values. So under values, I put romance, which is ironic. Let me give you a frame of reference for this too. Okay, so when I made this, it was like junior, senior in high school. So I was maybe 16 or 17 when I made this. I was a virgin. I had never been on a date with a boy. I had never kissed a boy. So I had this very like unjaded view of romance. I was still a little jaded because all the boys I had crushes on never had crushes on me. We'll get into that later. But yeah, I think I valued romance because I imagined that someday I would meet a guy who would be romantic. Spoiler alert, haven't yet, but we'll see. Okay, so this was a picture I took out of a magazine of two women talking, which I feel like probably my value was gossip at the time because I loved to gossip. I try not to as much now because I know it's not a positive way to live, but I do love me some gossip. So I feel like that might be what that symbolized. I have the American flag here, which I'm gonna be honest, I'm willing to believe that like this wasn't necessarily that my value was like America, these colors don't run. I mean, I am proud to be an American, I am, but I feel like this symbolized independence because I've always been a very I'm a very independent thinker. Like I don't just follow the pack. Like I make my own decisions for myself, and that's something I've always been very proud of. And then honesty has always been a huge thing for me. I think I've always felt that way. Okay, this is where I was supposed to describe myself. Under physical traits, I just put a picture of me. And yes, this is my natural hair color. We don't need to focus on that. Anyway, again, it could be senior year because this is my junior class picture. So this could have been my senior year because I wouldn't have had my senior picture yet, possibly. That may be it. And then single white female. I think that movie was like popular or something. I cut that out of a magazine because I was a single white female, and I am now still a single white female. Nothing has changed. Under beliefs, this is funny. I have God because it was a religion class and I was trying to get a good grade. And then underneath God, because the only person that is just beneath God, like it's God and then this person. It is a quote from Dolly Parton, one of my favorite quotes, and this has always been one of my favorite quotes. The way I see it, if you want the rainbow, you gotta put up with the rain. That has always been one of my favorite quotes, and I actually discovered that just around this time. And that quote has gotten me through some really tough times. So yes, my beliefs are in God and Dolly Parton. That's it. Things have not changed. Okay, so under favorite things, let me explain. This looks like it says something else, but it's just the paper got messed up. Okay. My favorite thing. I have never been to Dallas. It says Dallas here. I've never been to Dallas. Before you start judging me, okay, you have to remember the time period, okay? The Dallas Cowboys were basically the New England Patriots of that time, okay? They won like all the Super Bowls, they had all the hot players, and I have always had a thing for football players. They do not have a thing for me, but I have a thing for them. So yeah, my favorite things were the Dallas Cowboys, and I drew a picture of a football. And really, I didn't care at all about the actual football. It was the guys playing with the balls, never mind. Anyway, and this is New York Undercover, which was the ultimate show, or my ultimate show at the time. It was a cop show with hot guys. This is Michael De Lorenzo, and he was the hot Latin man on that show, and let me tell you, I had an obsessive crush on him. He was also on Head of the Class, and he was a dancer in one of Michael Jackson's music videos. I think it was Bad or Beat It. I don't remember. It's the one where like they like shackle their ankles together and they're like dance fighting and stuff, because he was like a professional dancer and then he was like a tough cop. And I'm sorry, but if you're a man who can dance, but you can also play a tough cop on a TV show, that's my kind of man. All right, anyway, one of the rare non-football players I had a crush on. But yeah, I had an obsessive crush on him. That show was my show at the time. And then a picture of pizza, because I was actually very overweight in this time, and I liked my pizza. Actually, if it were my vision board now, French fries would probably be there instead of pizza, but I have always loved pizza. It's just French fries are more my jam right now, but you know. Okay, this section is called feelings. These are things that I feel or want to feel. I think this is love, and like I wanted to be in love. I so desperately wanted to be in love, which will be a theme you will see throughout this vision board. Excitement. This might have been my senior year, because I think I was like really excited to be out of high school and be done with school in general. Sympathy. I'm an empath. Like, I'm a very sympathetic person, so that's probably what that was about. And panic, because I was not diagnosed with anxiety for many years later, but I think there are very clear signs that I had severe anxiety even as a child. So I think I always felt panic. I think panic is a very good way of describing my life. Anxiety, but obviously the way I chose to describe it, because I obviously cut this word out of a magazine, was panic. So yeah, I would say that was a definitely summed up me at the time. Okay, this top up here, important people. This is Troy Aikman. Okay, Troy Aikman was like the Tom Brady of his time. He's the hot star quarterback of the winning team, and I had a crush on him. I had a crush on him, mad crush on him, and a mad crush on Michael De Lorenzo. Like, Mr. Blonde hair, blue-eyed, all-American, and then Mr. Latin dancer playing a cop. If that's any indication that my tastes are all over the map, I don't know what is. I mean, that just is what it is. He's my crush. I give a shout out to my mom and dad. Down here I just wrote mom and dad, because well, my dad doesn't care, but my mom does not like get her picture taken, so I don't have a lot of pictures of my parents, because my mother like hides from cameras. These are actually pictures down here just of like friends from high school. This was like, I think this is semi-formal, I think, and then this was my junior prom. So if my junior prom already happened, then this must be my senior year. Yeah, so my junior prom had already happened. So just, these were like friends I hung out with in high school. Also, up here, Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe has always been a huge influence on my life, and I know that you're like, okay, every blonde says that, but she just was. Like, I just feel like the first time I saw a picture of her was actually on the cover of a book. It was a biography of her that I read when I was probably way too young to be reading a biography of Marilyn Monroe and the stuff that was going on in her life. But she just, like, her look always drew me in from a very young age. So I felt like she was always, even before I even watched any of her movies, like, she just sort of was this symbol of glamour and beauty that I've always been obsessed with. And then this is Anna Nicole Smith, because Anna Nicole Smith was obviously more of like the Marilyn Monroe of my time period, and this was actually before like her trim spot, her reality show, whatever. This was actually around the time she married the billionaire, which I'll get to in a minute. But yeah, Anna was like kind of the modern day Marilyn Monroe. She was in the Guess ads. She was just, it's actually interesting, because I feel like Anna especially, Marilyn a little bit, but Anna especially she was so curvy and so, you know, voluptuous, and I developed so young and so much, and there were not a lot of women in the media that represented me at this time period. You know, like Kate Moss was the ultimate supermodel, and you didn't get a lot of women who represented, you know, I mean, plus size modeling was like barely a thing in that time period. There wasn't a variety of women that looked like you, or that looked like everybody in the media. There was one look. And it's interesting because Anna really symbolizes the woman that I felt like I needed to see at that time. And it's really weird because I see this quote sometimes that's like, be the person that your younger self needed, or something of some variation of that. And it's weird because I actually had a comment recently, I read it just before I went to film this video, from a very young girl who said that she had developed young and that she was made to feel ashamed about it, and that she watched one of my videos reviewing fuller busted swimwear, and that it was so helpful to her to see someone who looked like me being confident and comfortable in her own skin. And it made me realize that I was like, yeah, I'm trying to be who I needed when I was younger. And I think Anna was somebody who I needed when I was younger, because there were so few people out there. And I think it's one thing, you know, I get really frustrated with some of the social media for censoring women and you know, taking down photos of women who are just trying to be confident and show different types of body types and stuff. And I get emotional about it because I remember being young and being in a time when that type of diversity wasn't there, you know, and not just, I mean, diversity in different you know, shapes, sizes, ethnicities, you know, sexual orientations, like all different things. That I remember a time when that didn't exist. So I think that's one of the reasons why I get really sensitive to it now. And I know I'm getting off on a whole thing, but that I just wanted to, that's part of the reason. And Anna actually, she comes up again a little bit later on in another story. So she was definitely a very important person in my life, even though I never met her or knew her. Okay, we're down to personality traits. What how I would describe myself personality-wise. I call myself boy crazy, which is kind of ironic. I think I was probably boy crazy because I desperately wanted a boyfriend. I wanted boys that I liked to like me, and they never did. And I think I was still hopeful that that would change. And here I am 40, and that hasn't really changed much. I have dated, but it's still never the boys that I want that end up wanting me. So yeah. I guess I would describe boy crazy now as boys drive me crazy. Not in a good way, not in like I'm boy crazy, like oh my god I love boys. I'm like, oh, you boys are driving me crazy. Yeah. Also, I have a picture of a crown here and it says princess. I'm spoiled. Not gonna lie, I'm an only child. I'm spoiled. I like to say I'm spoiled, but I'm not a brat. I think I'm still a very nice person, but I'm spoiled. And my name means princess. Sarah means princess. So, I mean, what do you want from me? Okay, and then also I have this quote here under boy crazy. I think I cut this out of a Cosmo or something like that. It says bachelor. Okay, definition: an eligible man who A, is unmarried, B, is not living with a woman or in some cases another man, C, is not seriously dating, D, your best friend has no claim to. Yeah, that's actually, it's weird. I didn't know where I was going with that, but I cut that out of a magazine and stuff. And I think that's a big thing. I've always valued that. As much as I have to admit, I don't currently have a lot of close girlfriends, and I feel like I wish I had more. I think that's just the way that my life has sort of gone. Like I like to think of myself as like, I love women, I'm supportive of women. I like to think of myself as like a girl's girl, but I don't have a lot of like really close girlfriends, but I've always been like that. Whereas like, even if like another woman is just like, we're just acquaintances, I'm like, I'm hands off your man. Like I've turned down guys legitimately who who other friends were like, or just girls who I was like friendly acquaintances with. Like I knew they were interested in him, and I was just like, I value having a woman as a friend more than I would value just going on a date with a guy. Which is interesting because like, I know I said I'm boy crazy, but I've always had like serious morals about that. I did end up dating a married man though after this happened. Actually, not too long after this I made this, but I was young and naive, and yeah, that's another story for another day. Here, okay, experiences and events. This is a picture of me, and I think this is the bishop at my confirmation, because this is religion class, and so I felt like I had to put that. And then these are pictures of me from plays I was in. I think this is both, I don't know what, that must be from, they must both be from Annie. Okay, Annie was my junior year, so this must be my senior year because this already happened. This picture represents something that I don't even really think I understood was so significant at the time. Okay, I was in drama club, wanted to be an actress. I think I mentioned it down here somewhere, but I wanted to be an actress, and I was in drama club. I've been in drama club for a few years. My junior year, we did Annie. I really wanted the part of Lily, which if you've seen the movie, is the part that Bernadette Peters plays. And she's like the ditzy blonde character. She's like the gangster's girlfriend, you know, kind of sexy, fun character. Okay, so I desperately wanted to play that character, and, you know, rehearsed. I did like a great audition, and I didn't get it. They actually gave that part to, I think she was a freshman, which for a freshman to get a lead part is rare. And they gave me the part of the NBC page. Okay, so the NBC page, if you don't know, in the show Annie, there's a scene in Annie where they're in the radio station. It's where they sing the classic song, Never Fully Dressed Without a Smile. Basically, the scene takes place in a radio station because, and back then, in the time that Annie existed, not in the time I was a kid because I'm not that old, but in the time that Annie took place, radio stations had live audiences to provide laughter and everything. And the character in the NBC Page, her job was basically to, or his or her, it could go to anyone. There were no lines. Basically, I just held an applause sign and walked across the stage when the audience was supposed to clap and applaud. That was the character. And so here I was, my junior year. I so desperately wanted to be an actress. I had this part that I knew was mine, and I got this no line part. I was so upset about it. But I think, and I didn't realize how significant this was until relatively recently, that I think my bitterness made me so angry that I was like, I'm gonna show them and I'm gonna be the best NBC Page, and I'm gonna hold that applause sign like nobody's business. Okay, so they gave me, they rented me a costume, which was like a bellhop's costume, like what I'm wearing in the picture. And you don't see the whole thing in the costume, but it was way too big for me. It was so shapeless, it was so unflattering, but it was red. And I think that they thought that I was gonna like tie my hair back and like not wear any makeup, and I was gonna try to look like sort of like a boy NBC Page. In my mind, I was like, nope. I'm like, you have me in this unflattering outfit, but I did my hair. I did it in like these long waves. I put on bright red lipstick and all this makeup, and I was like, I was like Vanna White, holding this applause sign, walking across the stage like I owned the place, okay? And I even threw in a little thing where because I was like, I'm making the most of this. I'm stealing this scene. I don't care what it takes. So I went out one time with the applause sign upside down. Now I knew it was upside down, but the audience didn't know I knew. And then I pretended to be like, oops, and like switch it around and be all giggly and bubbly and walk off the stage and stuff. And of course the director thought that was an accident, and he was like, keep that in. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to. Like, hello. I stole that scene. I had people coming up to me in like supermarkets, like that were like, oh my god, my grandchild goes to your high school and we saw that show and you stole the show. Like people I didn't even know would come up to me like in church, because I still went to church back then because I went to Catholic school. Yeah, I owned that part. Let that be a lesson to you. And also too, a little note, the girl who played the part that I wanted, when she got her costume, because she was like stick thin, she didn't fill out her costume. So they actually had to use like pantyhose, because like, or just like socks, and she did, because tissues weren't even giving her enough like cleavage to fill out her costume. And the whole time in the dressing room, like, I don't like to be catty, but the whole time I was just like, yeah, you wouldn't have had to stuff my bra. So just saying. But yeah, to me, that story is so important. And I think when I put this picture on here, I didn't really understand how significant that would be in my life, but it was just such an important part of my life that like I took what was given to me, which was not at all like, I totally deserved more than that. Like I was a better actress than that. I was a better performer, but I was like, I'm taking this part. Like there's, like they always say, there's no small parts, only small actors. Like I took this part and I was like, you are gonna remember me, okay? I don't care. And I feel like that, I don't know, just, it's an important lesson that I try to carry with me to this day. So hopefully, I hope that lesson inspired you in some way. Okay, so let's go back down here to, what am I doing? Hobbies, free time, activities, and interests. I'm a Sagittarius. I used to be way more into astrological signs. I feel like I don't think I'm a typical Sagittarius by any means, so I don't really pay as much attention to it, but I used to kind of be really into that stuff back in the day. Now I'm actually way more into like the Myers-Briggs personality test. I'm an INFJ. That I feel like is so much more accurate than astrological signs, but you know, I mean, I think it's all fun, you know what I mean? Like, as long as you don't take it too seriously, but I think it can be fun. Okay, this drama club, I want to be an actress. This is a music note. I always wanted to be musical. Like I always wanted to sing, and I always wanted to be musical. I've really never been very musical, but I enjoy music. I wish I could create it, but alas, I think I have a lot of gifts. I don't think music is really one of them. This is a picture of boys. This is a magazine with a picture of boys, which is probably because I liked looking at cute boys back then, which is so weird because now I see a cute boy and I'm like, all I see is heartbreak, I am really bitter. Let me just tell you. But also, this is a magazine, and I was super into magazines. Magazines were like my life, which is why a lot of the stuff I could easily cut out of magazines, because I had so many. Yeah, magazines were, if it was a magazine in a store, I wanted it. Like, I was so into magazines, like fashion, style, teen magazines, anything. Totally into magazines. Makeup, I've always been obsessed with makeup. If you go back on my channel, you can tell I'm obviously still very obsessed with makeup, but that's always been an obsession of mine. Gossip. This is actually, I cut it out of a magazine. This is gossip. The definition is a harmless pastime unless it's about you. I don't like people talking about me. I don't like gossip about me. But I love gossip about other people. I know it's terrible. It's terrible. It's terrible. But yeah, I think I'm more mature about it now. Like, I'm less gossipy now than I used to be, but I do still like my gossip. I guess we'll go back down here. Okay, weaknesses, areas to grow in. Yeah, overcoming a negative body image. I cut this out of a magazine, I guess. I don't know where it came from, but yeah, I think, I mean, I've always hated my body, which is a terrible thing to think, but I mean, as young as I can remember. And it took me until, and I mean, I still struggle, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I know on my Instagram, like, I'm very body positive, I'm all about body confidence. People always like, I wish I had your confidence. I still struggle with it every day. I'm not here anymore. You know what I mean? And I think progress is progress. Like, you don't have to be perfect with it. Like, I'm not in this place where I was before. So that I'm happy about. Okay, dreams, hopes, and goals. Down here, it's kind of hidden, but it says movie star, and this is an Oscar, because I wanted to be an Oscar-winning actress. Which I think, you know what, at the time, like, looking back on it, I really wanted to do what I'm doing right now. But what I'm doing right now wasn't a thing. Like, YouTube didn't exist at that point. The internet was barely a thing at this point. If you guys really want a frame of reference, like, we had one computer in my high school that connected to the internet, and it had to be monitored because, like, one kid in the school actually got expelled for, like, looking at porn on it, and, like, that was odd. So, like, the internet was, like, super new in this phase. It was not common. So, like, what I do now, this, like, social media influencer stuff, it wasn't an option. And I feel like this is so much more what I meant to do. Acting is, like, it's something I've enjoyed, but I like being able to entertain but be myself more than entertaining and being somebody else. But I think back then I didn't know that this was an option. So I don't really think of that as a failure on my part, that, you know, I didn't achieve that. I think my goals just changed. But I think entertaining people that's always been something that I feel like was a goal of mine. And I hope that I do that. I hope you guys are entertained by this. Okay, this is a picture of a huge hunkin' diamond ring. And it says here, 22 karat diamond ring. That was a cute story, and it goes back to my Anna Nicole Smith situation. So Anna Nicole married a billionaire in this time period who was not an attractive man. He was like 100 years old and in a wheelchair and kind of creepy looking. And he bought her a 22 karat diamond engagement ring. So I remember we were in school, and we were actually in religion class. Not this class, so I think this must have been the year before. And we were having this discussion about, like, if men or women are more, what they value more. And, you know, if men and women value appearance in the opposite sex as much as, you know, as much as each other, type of thing. The boys in the class were all arguing that, like, no, girls are just as interested in physical appearance as they are, you know what I mean? Like, they're just as shallow. The girls were all trying to argue that they weren't as into physical appearance. And I don't speak. Like, I don't really speak in class. Like, I don't talk up or anything. But I said to, like, just, like, a couple of the girls that I was just like, yeah, but any guy can look good if you look at him through the reflection of a 22 karat diamond ring. And so they were like, oh my God, say that, say that. So they made me, like, say that to the whole class, to, like, tell the boys, like, hey, guess what? Like, no, we don't care just about looks. Like, we want more than that. Like, I want the 22 karat diamond ring. And I think the teacher was just totally mortified that I said that. But that kind of got to be what I was known for, is being a gold digger. I'm actually not a gold digger. My love language is gifts, and I have expensive tastes. But anyway, that's my new motto. But yeah, so 22 karat diamond ring, not that, I mean, I can't even imagine walking around with a 22 karat diamond ring on, but that kind of became what I was known for. And the whole idea of, like, yeah, I want to marry a rich guy. I mean, I've always been like that. Like, I've always been the type who's been like, yeah, I want to marry a guy with money. But notice here, I have good marriage listed. I think that's the difference. I will say, I have good marriage, I have millionaire husband, okay? I think that's the difference. And I will say this, because I've heard other people say this. I don't like the term gold digger. And I acknowledge they exist. I totally acknowledge. But I feel like a gold digger is just after a man's money. Whereas I wanted to fall in love with a rich man. And you know, they say it's just as easy to fall in love with a rich man as a poor man. I think it's easier because you can fall in love with the money too. But you know, it's not like I would never marry someone just for their money or for their status. But I value security, and I always have. So yeah, like, and I realize that a millionaire husband isn't even really that big a deal right now, although I've never found one. Yeah, like having a good marriage, it was something I wanted. I've had a marriage, and not the good part, but I've had a marriage. I've had a husband, not the millionaire part. I'm like half. I've had half of these goals. I also have some quotes at the bottom here that are super cute. I have one, no rich man is ugly, Zsa Zsa Gabor, which kind of goes back to the 22-karat diamond ring line. It's a Yiddish proverb. It says, with money in your pocket, you are wise, you are handsome, and you sing well too. Okay, this is the definition of Dutch treat. And it says, if he suggests it, dump him. If you suggest it and he insists on paying anyway, marry him. That's good advice, let me just tell you. Okay, so now we're down here to strengths and talents. Creative. I think I've always wanted to be creative. I don't even know if I'm yeah, I think I'm naturally that way. I'm naturally that way, but it's something like, I always felt like when I heard someone, when someone would call someone else creative, I'd be envious of that. Like, I wanted to be known as being creative, and I feel like, I don't know if maybe it's because I wanted that like my creativity was one of the few places where I think my shyness would start to subside, because I wanted to shine in my creativity, if that makes any sense. I feel like that was really like a thinker right there, or it didn't make any sense. But yeah, I've always valued being creative, and I feel like that's something I've always tried to pursue things that brought out my creativity. Strong beliefs. I do have very strong beliefs. Like, if I believe something, it's very difficult for you to sway me. I do think, though, I'm very open-minded to other people's beliefs, and I'm very accepting of people who think differently from me. And I don't mind like I don't mind having a friendly debate about my beliefs versus someone else's beliefs. I don't like arguing, and I don't like confrontation, and when those things get ugly. But like, I am a very open-minded person. I'm a very independent thinker. I have a huge respect for other people who are independent thinkers, whether they agree with me or they disagree with me. I like independent thinkers. I don't like people who are just like yes men, or people who don't think for themselves. Like, you know, and I don't mind people who are open-minded and able to be molded, but I feel like I need to create an opinion on my own based on the evidence in front of me, and I respect other people who do that, as opposed to people who just listen to somebody else and are just like, okay, that's what I believe. That was a long roundabout way of putting it, but yeah, I'm very proud of my belief system. Acting here is strengths. I do think I'm a good actress. I think I'm a talented actress. I think, though, I would replace acting with entertainer, because I think of myself more as an entertainer, and a creative entertainer. Yeah, those are two, like, I think of two things that I'd like to be known for: being creative and being an entertainer. And, you know, acting, I think at the time was, like I said before, was the only thing that I knew of. I mean, I wasn't a singer, really, and I didn't have the body type to be a dancer, so I was like, well, I'll be an actress. The idea of being a stand-up comedian wasn't even something that, like, was even something I was aware of, which is ironic, because I actually went to the same high school that Dennis Leary went to. Not at the same time, but yeah, but doing stand-up just wasn't something that ever really occurred to me. Okay, and then we're on the last section here, which is concerns and worries. I wrote in my future, which is weird because I've always been super optimistic about my future. I feel like it's just the past few years that I've gotten really down about my future, because I think once you get to a certain age and you start realizing the future is shorter than the past, which is an emotional thing to think of. But I've been a pessimist in the moment and a pessimist about my past, but I've usually been pretty optimistic about my future, but I do have anxiety about it. And I think because I think this was probably my senior year, like I had a lot of stress and pressure about what I was gonna do with my future and where I was gonna go, and like I wanted to go to New York or LA and be an actor, and my parents did not want that, and my school was like pressuring me to go to college, and I didn't know if I wanted that. And so I think there's a lot of conflict in my mind, I think, about my future in that moment. So I think that that's why. And I do think that there's probably still a lot of conflict about my future and confusion and stuff. So that really hasn't changed. Okay, relationships, and I have a big heart with an X through it, which I think was my fear of like not finding love, which, you know, I mean, I guess maybe that fear of it, you know, maybe it manifested it. I don't know. It's sad when I think about how much of my time I spent wishing that I found love and wanting a good marriage and wanting to find a good husband, and I realize that like what it looks like, but part of, for my definition of a good husband is a good provider. That was part of my definition. And I do think that there was a big part of me that, even though that's what I said that I wanted, that I definitely didn't think that I deserved that, because I did have people in my life who would tell me I didn't deserve that, or people that would tell me that my standards were too high, and I was like, my standard is a guy with money, and they're like, well, that's too high. It's like, okay, I know they exist, you know what I mean? But yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I think I could say that didn't work out, but it's just interesting how that was something that was so important to me when I was in high school. And I do think that like wanting that and wanting my life to go that way has maybe driven me to relationships that I shouldn't have been in, or yeah, I mean, I'll just say I think desperation got me into the marriage that I ended up in that went so poorly, which is a sad thing. But I think, yeah, I think that's something that I've had to learn, is that I've had to try to enjoy life alone. And as much as it would be nice to have someone to share that with, like I'm good on my own. Like I'm pretty good at being independent, and I was not good being a wife in a relationship because I was being controlled, and I don't do well when I'm being controlled. But this is the first time in my life, like I've been single a lot in my life. Like I'm not one of those girls that like jumps back and forth from relationship to relationship. I'm definitely someone who has been single a lot, but I've never enjoyed it. And I'm trying to learn to enjoy it. I'm trying to learn to be like single and not just be bitter and miserable about it. And this is like the first time in my life I think because even back then, I mean, I'd never even dated a boy, and I was like single and miserable. So yeah, this was my vision board, and I was actually going to compare it to my current vision board, but this video has already gotten so long. So, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think a lot has changed. So I don't know, this was fun. I think it was a little emotional at times and kind of ridiculous at times, but I think this was nice for me to go back and sort of reminisce at a different time when I, you know, see, like before a lot of things in my life I think got confused, like before I actually had ever been in a relationship. And so I'd never dated, I'd never had a breakup before I, you know, had any career. I'd never had a job at this point, you know, like just a different time. And I think, I don't know, I think when you're an adult and you get to be a certain age and you've spent so much time with adult stuff, that sounds kind of dirty, but like, I mean like adulting, like actual like adulting stuff. I think it's nice to look back on a different time in your life when maybe you had, you know, a different worldview. And you know, it's perfectly okay to change, and it's perfectly okay to evolve and find yourself. And I don't believe in that thing where people are like, you've changed. It's like, well, we're supposed to grow and evolve and stuff. So, you know, and I don't want to go back to being in high school at all. Like that's not at all. But there are definitely aspects I think of my youth that I miss, like my optimism for the future and stuff. And I think, yeah, I think it was just nice to go back and sort of take a look at that, and also like kind of rediscover myself and some of the things that, you know, I thought back in the day. And I hope that this video was helpful. Maybe it inspired you to look back at some of the stuff that, you know, whether you have a vision board or something, or just memories and stuff from, you know, a time in your past when things were different, and, you know, maybe learn from those experiences and you know, think about maybe what you would have told your younger self. Think about the person that your younger self needed in that time, and, you know, can you be that person for other young people who are like you. I don't know, I just thought that this video was fun, and I'm sure it's gonna be long, and if you guys are still with me, thank you, I appreciate that. Yeah, if you, you know, do this or anything, or have any kind of, I don't know, want to talk at all about how things have changed in your life, or you know what, leave a comment below what advice you would give to your younger self. I wanna know what advice you would give to your younger self knowing what you know now. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, because I kind of thought this was fun, and my Monday videos have kind of been a little bit more like random and thinky and stuff, because I'm trying to do 3 videos a week while everybody is just sort of home and inside, and you know, I have less responsibilities outside of YouTube. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You know, if you have any other video suggestions or anything, be sure to leave a comment in the comment section below. Love to hear from you, love your suggestions. If you guys enjoyed this video, found it helpful, entertaining, or anything, please give it a big thumbs up, share it with somebody else who you think might enjoy it. If you want to be an everyday starlet, be sure you hit that subscribe button. I hope everyone is staying safe and healthy. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.